Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. Today I want to share with you a big theme that has been coming through for me as I've been reflecting on my own personal growth journey, as I've been reflecting on the year that has been going by so far, and as I've been thinking about the goals that I have and the desires that I have. And this is something that I feel is a really important part of the growth journey. And it's something that has been coming up for me in my own personal journey, but also something that I feel is just one of the most important pieces of growth, of spiritual growth, of personal growth. And because I felt like it's such a big part of my own journey, it's something that I am now bringing into my own business and my own offerings to support clients in seeing the level of transformation that I've experienced myself, right? So really what I want to talk about today is the topic of consistency. And consistency means different things to different people, and it means different things in different ways. So it's a very interesting topic, but I just wanted to kind of open up the space and channel through what has been coming up for me lately. So as I've been reflecting on my own journey with spiritual growth and also personal growth and business as well, they've all kind of gone hand in hand. Like it's very intertwined. So it all goes under the same category as growth for me, I guess. But as I've been reflecting on my own journey, I've kind of looked at times when I've experienced more growth than other times, and what was different about that, and I feel like it's really important to not dwell in the past, but be able to look to the past for clues, right? To look to the past for data, and to say, what was working and what wasn't, when were things flowing and when were they not, kind of, and not out of like, any kind of judgment or anything, but just obviously we want to have flow and abundance and everything in our life. So when we can start to see where the patterns emerge, then we can start to lean more into those things to see that in our lives, right? So in my reflection, one of the main themes that was coming up for me was consistency. And the way this has looked in my own personal journey has been looking back at times when I felt more desperate and more like things weren't going my way and life was kicking me when I was down and nothing seemed to be working out. And I had so many desires on my heart and I just felt like I was never getting any closer to anything. And I was taking steps backwards, and it's just like the times that didn't feel so good, right? And in these times I was thinking like, okay, like what stands out, right? And at those times, like I remember reaching out for energy healing with a few different healers I had tried out at that time, and like trying to find like a coaching program. And for me, like I really desired support from somebody else. And I look at that and I see that I always waited until things were bad, till I was desperate to seek out support. And I didn't value consistent support back then. And in the same way, I also wasn't consistent with any type of spiritual practice or inner work or anything like that. Like I would wait until I felt like things were bad and I was desperate, and then I would scramble to try and find 8 different rituals that I could do back to back in hopes that I would just feel better. Like I wanted that quick fix, right? I didn't want to be consistent because when things were good, I felt good. And so this talk is not only about consistency, I guess it's kind of also going into like commitment and like, are you committed to certain things even when things are good or bad, right? And however we judge good or bad. And I feel like that says a lot about who we are as people and our character, right? When we are like able to look at that and to look at, when am I pulling out from things I've committed to? When am I not consistent with my personal practices? When am I not consistent with having support that I desire and I like to have? And that isn't to say that, we have to always stick to something. Like, especially I know for me when it comes to support and like coaching and having a healer, it's not like I've always had the same level of consistency. So there's been times where I had like a weekly session with my healer, but there's also been times where that was bi-weekly or it was monthly, but it was always consistent to a certain point, right? Like there was times when I wasn't consistent, but since I became consistent with it, it stayed consistent. So that's really like what I wanted to shine light on, is like finding a level of consistency that we can stick to and letting the momentum build. I talk about momentum all the time because we all have desires, and when our desires feel like they're kind of far away, we need that momentum to build, right? And momentum is where we experience that quantum leap. Like oftentimes we hear that word or that phrase quantum leap, like it comes out of nowhere, and some people can get in their heads about a quantum leap being something that just comes out of nowhere. Like, what? Out of nowhere, this thing dropped in. But oftentimes, a quantum leap occurs from consistent momentum in the direction of that thing. So you're consistently showing up and taking action towards what you desire. And all of a sudden, the momentum compounds and you experience that quantum leap where it feels like it just came out of nowhere. Like you didn't feel like you were close, but you were building momentum. So that's why I feel like when I reflect back on my own journey and I see the times when I was very sporadic with getting an energy healing session, I was waiting till I was desperate, and I was very sporadic about, joining a coaching program only when I was desperate. And I was very sporadic about doing a meditation or having some time to myself to recharge, or like whatever it is for me that made me feel good. I would only do it when I was desperate. Like I would only show up for myself when I felt like I had nowhere else to go, when I was at the end of my rope, rock bottom kind of feeling. And when I actually started to get consistent with everything in my life, like not everything, like I won't say I'm like the dream consistent person, but I started to get more consistent with having a healer. I started to get more consistent with even like going for massage and doing things that made my physical body feel good. I was more consistent with the way that I was eating in a healthier way, more consistent with moving my body in a way that felt good, more consistent with showing up for the spiritual practices that feel good for me, having my cacao every day, having a minute for mindfulness in the morning, having some time for meditation when I can. Like when I started to consistently do these things, even when I felt good and like I wasn't desperate for them or anything, but like things are good, but like, can they be better? Like if I stay consistent with these things that make me feel good and I'm not looking for them to make me feel better kind of thing, like I'm not using them as like a lifeboat or whatever that phrase is, then what momentum can build in between? What momentum can build when I'm not only seeking out these things when I'm desperate, when I'm not only seeking out help, but instead I'm staying committed to the things that I know are going to build momentum, that I know are going to help me grow if I stay consistent to them. And whatever level of consistency works for me. So maybe that is, I don't know, like an example, let's say meditation makes you feel great. Maybe you can commit to a daily meditation, but maybe you can only commit to a weekly meditation. Maybe every Saturday evening you take half an hour to yourself and you do a meditation and you stay consistent with it. it's finding your own level of consistency, right? Because I can share what's helped me, but I I don't believe that works for everyone. So, and I believe different things are needed in different seasons too. Like there was times when I was really turning on to my psychic gifts, and at that time I was like, I need more support. I don't want to do this by myself. Like I can, but I don't desire it. So instead of waiting until I was stumped and then booking a session with my mentor or healer or anything, I was like, I'm just going to book in for a consistent container, right? And I know even in my business, if you're an entrepreneur, for a long time, I was kind of hopping from different program to different program and hoping the next one would help me and feeling like I was spinning my wheels. And it wasn't until I actually committed to something long term that I was able to see more growth, because there's so much to that. Not only is a long term container consistent because, I'm committing for 12 months of programs or 12 months of mentorship or whatever it is. And, obviously that's going to be consistent for a longer period of time than if I joined a 2-week program. But also, there is something about, you know, the commitment of it, right? So not only staying consistent, but the commitment of yes, I'm willing to commit to 12 months of doing this. So for me, that looked like, I'm willing to commit to 12 months of showing up for programs that are going to help me with various aspects of my business. And I'm not going to, no longer going to okay, I'll just buy this one program and see if it works. Then maybe I'll buy another one and maybe I'll buy this other one or whatever. And whenever I felt stuck, instead I was like, no, I want to grow. So I'm going to commit to 12 months. Right. And in that I did see growth. So for me personally, that did work out very well. And, it's still something that I practice now. I love to commit to longer term containers and know that I'm going to have that consistency and support, and I can commit to growing my business and growing as a person as well through that. So this is also why I have decided to make changes in my own business to foster this, because when I started my healing business, I was like, it's going to be so great. I'm going to have single energy healing sessions with clients, and it's going to be so much fun. I love doing that, whatever. But the more that I've seen in myself that those single energy healing sessions every 4 months just don't get the same results. They are powerful in a single session, a lot can shift, but I don't believe that a full transformation can come from somebody who feels desperate having a single session of energy healing for half an hour. I don't believe that that's going to make long lasting change. I think that it can take the edge off of things. But I think when we're consistent with it, then we're more likely to see results, and we're more likely to build that momentum. And we're no longer just, scratching the surface of all the energy that needs to be cleared. We're actually able to maintain and enter into a maintenance phase. So that's why in my business a few months ago, I decided to actually completely eliminate my single energy healing sessions. So I only recently have decided that I will bring back single sessions for channeled readings, because, guidance is guidance, and then you can come anytime, and that's great. But I no longer offer single sessions for energy healing, because I do believe that it should be something that has a level of consistency to it. So that's why I ultimately decided to create my healing membership, where the women inside that membership have access to a monthly group energy healing, because I believe that the consistency of having that is going to make lasting change. And not only in the membership do you get the group energy healing, but you also get the weekly Q&A. So you're getting access to coaching support and channeled guidance. And I believe that having that consistent weekly support with the consistent monthly energy healing, plus some resources and meditation tools to use in between, is what's going to create the transformation, what's going to create the lasting impact, the momentum building, and ultimately the quantum leaps for the women inside of the program. So that's why I made that switch in my business, because I could easily sell one-to-one energy healing sessions for like quick cash injections in my business. But if that doesn't ultimately serve my clients, then I don't want to run my business that way. So that's why I created the membership, to be a lower ticket way for people to receive consistent support when, maybe having a monthly one-to-one session and like Voxer support and everything might not be in their budget right now. So in that, then I am also launching a 12-month commitment that you can make to the membership for 2024, as the new year is coming and we're all thinking about our goals for next year and everything like that. And we're setting our intentions, and a lot of us have goals for next year of, business goals and personal growth goals and spiritual goals. And like, we want to grow spiritually. We want to see more abundance in our life. And in that, I think that locking in for 12 months of healing and coaching and channeled guidance support is going to be absolutely magical for the women who decide to make that choice. So I already have a couple women from the membership currently who have locked in their spot for next year. And it makes me feel so good because I know that this membership is impacting them in a way that they're desiring to lock in for another year because they've loved it so much so far. But I also know that this is going to be huge for those women, the ones who decide to make the commitment to consistency, who decide to say like, yes, I'm not in just now, like I'm in all year. I'm in for 12 months. I'm in for the long haul, because I know that the consistency is going to create so much momentum for me for 2024. So I'm really excited about releasing this offer and putting it on a special sale for, Black Friday kind of vibes and whatever, for anyone who's wanting to also experience this and lock in for next year to create that consistency and the commitment to that. Then the doors are open, and the price will be elevating, of course, as we get closer to January 1st. But if you're wanting to lock in with us, if you're wanting to join us next year and go on this year-long journey with us of momentum and quantum leaps and healing and community, we would love to have you inside of the membership. And I will put the link in the show notes for you. And yeah, I would just love to share an entire year with you. It means so much to me to be able to show up and do this work, and to be able to offer a space where women can experience this healing for a lower ticket price and have that consistency and have that support. And like, the women in my membership, like, they're not just a number to me. Like, I know these women, I get to know them through the membership, and I remember, who they are and the questions they've asked in the past and things like that. So it's really a beautiful space for community and sisterhood as well. And yeah, like, I'm just so excited for the year ahead. And if you decide to join us, then yeah, I'll link the show notes. I'll link the link in the show notes for you. And there'll also be a VIP option as well if you're wanting to add on some one-to-one support and have that consistent one-to-one healing or coaching support as well. That is also an option. So that is all I have for you today, my loves. I hope you have the most amazing weekend. I think I'm going to put this episode out on a Thursday, so I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will catch you on the next episode.